Everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Lizzie and welcome to the first scary stories with using tarot with me. We're facing this way because I'm going to use this to hold up the card so I can, it's my vision board. So I'm going to use decks as I go and start telling the story. Let's get into it. These are going to be the characters. See what comes out. Eclipse Mermaid, a powerful shift energy. Violet Angel, Breaking Dawn. Two Little Witches. Out trick-or-treating. Okay, so this isn't a character. This is when the meat of the story is going to be taking place. This is Halloween night. So what's popping to me is Violet Earth Angel. Is actually here for healing, and then we have Eclipse Mermaid coming out of the sea. It's like they get a pass for Halloween night. This one to heal, this one to wreak havoc. And then we have the Two Little Witches. Out trick-or-treating. These are bad, like, entities in children. And anybody in the costume of a witch, they get to collect their soul on Halloween night. So it's like we got urban legends happening. Evil mermaid coming up out of the sea to grow legs for one night. I feel like this is a temptress, seductress. I feel like they're going to entrap men in some way. This is going to be, oh wait, wrong one. Like their personality or nature. Tell us if they're good or bad. Let's talk about Violet. Elixir, remorse, guilt, forgiveness. Okay, so she's trying to redeem herself to go to heaven using Halloween as redemption. So this is Violet Angel, we don't have a name yet, battling these. Why is Eclipse Mermaid here? What's their personality? Character, friend or foe? We have Isra, escape, dreams, fantasy, powerful devotion, true worth. Okay, so this person hypnotizes you. They entrap souls and drag you to the sea. Why are the two witches here? What's their personality, nature? Amale, curiosity, destiny, search. Astronante. These names are crazy. That's Eclat. They're ghosts of, okay. They're ghosts of, like, Salem witches that were executed. They look at people who are dressing in witch costumes as mocking them. That's why they kill. Any other characters that need to come out? The home brewer and student loans. So we're going to have students, kids. Obviously kids here collecting souls. The home brewer. I feel like this is somebody who's like off grid, who Or they're very, very greedy or something. But this home brewer is going to be the third wheel between the mermaid and the angel here. I think the angel is going to catch feelings for this person, or maybe they have history on Halloween. As the story progresses, I'll get more. But this mermaid wants to drag him to sea to hurt her because she's putting a kink on her one night of fun. And these witches are mad at her too because she's putting a kink. Brunch. So this starts Halloween day into Halloween night. So they're gonna get from like noon to dawn, let's say. So they get daylight too. Yeah, the lovers. This home brewer and this earth angel fell in love. She's going to try to bargain with having to get time on earth to be with him because she's very ancient. She's a fallen from grace angel. She did something wrong, but she's working on redemption. She fell in love with a human. Let's just make him a medium. So this man is having a full-on affair with a ghost. Angel, ghost, whatever you want to call it. They're in love. It's like they channel and communicate all year, but she only gets to take physical form one night a year. So they have some romantical plans. This one is going to find out about this. Quarter life crisis and wanderlust. This mermaid is getting tired of going back to sea. She wants to stay on Earth. So her mission on this Halloween day night is to find a way to stay on Earth. And maybe this medium could be powerful enough to sacrifice for her spell. Alright, let's get the meat of the story here. Tell me some details about this earth angel and the home brewer and this crazy love situation. Voice says, yeah, they channel each other. They communicate telepathically and through dreams. But for the sake of, say this was a book or a movie, we're going to just say that this home brewer comes home from work and he can see, like maybe she can only linger in his house. And she's like see-through. It's not like somebody he can hold and touch. But voices and journey, this spirit works with the home brewer to get success, like she's helping him build the life he wants. Pulling strings, so she's not necessarily fully redeemed, is she? Let's talk about the crystals and herbs. Yeah, she's conducting a spell here. She wants to stay, doesn't want to go back to the sea. Candle magic. Yeah, exactly. Everything about her mission is to sacrifice to stay here. Let's talk about the twins at the end. Seduction, seducing those kids, collecting those souls. If they get enough souls, then maybe they can stay too. I think they create great mischief all year in Salem. Like when you go visit Salem, these are all the ones that do all the hoodoo honky stuff to scare you, because they have free domain there. Because for this one night they collect a lot of energy from children going missing. Rebirth. Yeah, they also want to be born. They were crucified. They want their life back. They don't want to go back to Salem. All about, this is everybody being stuck. This whole story is about them being stuck. This angel wants to come back and have life and live and have babies with this person. So she's on a mission to stay here. It's not an evil one. This mermaid is sick of the sea. In the sea, she's a small fish. On Earth, she's a big fish. She wants to stay here. So she's evil. She's going to sacrifice as many souls as she can, and so are these two, to stay here. All right, let's get into the story. Nikki, short for Nikita, an earth angel who has been bound to earth since the 60s as a ghost for betraying the angels and the angel code. While on her journey here, she consorted with a lot of people who could communicate with the dead. However, when she met John, her life changed. John wasn't just any medium. He was a powerful medium. And not only could he hear her, he could see her. And not only could he hear and see her, but he called her soul to his house where it would be free from all other dark entities. Gave her a home. He had to go to work. He was a businessman. He made a lot of money. He couldn't ever travel with her. He spent a lot of time at home. He was a recluse. He had no friends, but he had more money than he knew what to do with, because every night he came home and he bonded and hung out and fell in love with a ghost. And on one night of the year, he was allowed to take her out. And so this was going to be the year that he proposed. In his mind, their relationship was perfect. He could go do his work thing. He could travel. He could have the life he wanted. He wasn't someone who wanted children. She wanted children. She wanted the life that she was denied long before she died and became an angel. She never got much time on earth. That she died as an infant, which is one of the requirements to become an angel. So she wanted to see what life was like, and especially when she met John. So this Halloween night, Nikki was going to do everything in her power to prove to God that she was worthy of a life. And she had been bargaining and doing everything she knew how to do to communicate and connect to any angels that would still communicate with her. The word was out that she wanted life, and this was the night that she was going to prove it. And how she was going to prove it was by putting the three biggest, darkest, baddest villains to bed for God and showing that she can use her life for good. Which brings me into the Wicked Mermaid, the lore, the myth. The one night of the year, we all grew up hearing it. She gets to come up to the harvest moon of Halloween. Yo-Yo, an ancient Japanese soul who had so much ambition as a ruler. She had so much vision, and she was killed because of it. Her own family took her out because she shone too brightly. She wasn't the next in throne, but the next in line for the throne, but the people wanted her. And back then, popularity won. So in the sea, she's stuck with all the other ancestors who murdered her. And she, although has her own domain of the sea, it's not freedom for her, it's torture. So she looks forward to the one night of Halloween where she can come and gain all of the strength that she needs to be able to fight her own family off. Everybody considers her a villain, but she has her own reasons. Yo-Yo was done going to the sea. Every year when the dawn came up, she wept all the way back into the sea, knowing that 365 more days would have to come by before she got her freedom and her legs and to see the world. And she had to spend her one night on this earth killing just to be powerful enough to break away from their spells and their attacks. Because even though she was dead, even though none of them were reigning anymore, she still shone a little too brightly for them. So she was going to summon an underworld angel that would barter with her to give her life for good on earth. and she would give him as many souls as she could to make that happen. And so she was on a mission this year. And as the time approached for Halloween, she sat in the sea like this, anxiously waiting the last time she would ever have to look at them, and they snicker and watch her walk out. They never got to come out of the sea. Because they murdered her, that was the one gift fate gave her, the one privilege, and they made her suffer for it because they never got to leave the sea, and she did. Let's talk about the witches, the famous wicked witches of Salem. We have Elizabeth, the accuser, and Jean, her best friend. They weren't real sisters, but they were soul sisters, and they wanted control of their town. There's people that they didn't like. They were genuinely gifted. They genuinely did do witchcraft. They spelled people in court to look possessed so that they would hang. They laughed and snickered when people hung. They were evil before they were dead. So, when naturally, as evil people do, they get exposed, they too were put on trial and they were executed. Only death made them more powerful, and they used their last breath to curse them to get to come back to Salem and collect the souls of anybody who mocks witches and magic. Anyone who persecutes the gifted and the wicked. However, there's rules to fate, so the spirit capped it by only giving them 1 day a year. And unfortunately, these witches came back as children, and they are limited to Salem. Even though they get Halloween, they can only stay in Salem. So as you can imagine, on Halloween night, that place fills up with a lot of kids dressed as witches. And what's the requirement for them to steal your soul? For you to mock witches and make a mockery of how they dressed. So everybody was fair game. They had plenty of souls, and with it being a tourist attraction, you know, they were careful in the kids they picked. Okay. Spirit is watching. Will Nikki be able to pull this off and send Yo-Yo back to the sea for good to keep her from killing innocent, or change Yo-Yo's heart and keep her from killing at all? Will she be able to put these two twin witches in their place? Will they ever slow down and stop killing? Will she ban them forever? Let's find out. So, it is the morning of Halloween, and in a few short hours, all of these characters are going to get to step foot. High noon, they get to leave whatever plane they're on and come to Earth. As far as Nikki, she becomes from an apparition to a real person. And then you have John, who naturally takes this entire day off, waiting intently, packing for their journey. Since they spend 364 days in the house, every minute that Nikki is around, they spend out of the house. They talk about all year what they're going to do. They have a solid plan. They have every minute mapped out. However, John knows of Nikki's plan, and he's on board because, of course, he would want her to be alive all year round. He's in love with her. The tower hasn't fallen yet. She hasn't come back, but the nerves in John are starting to eat at him. What would it require for her to be alive again? And what would that mean for him? Was that it for his professional career? Was she going to be mad that he traveled with this marriage and relationship crumble like the rest of his relationship because of his jobs? Did he really have anything to offer her? if she wanted children. He did not. So she's coming back to have this life, and he still hasn't had the guts to tell her that he has no interest of being a father. 9 of coins, and he fibbed a little with how much money he actually has in the account because he has developed a bit of a gambling problem. So the luxurious life she's planning to have when she does come back isn't exactly going to be there for her. And he's not so sure that they are completely compatible. Is she just using him to get here? Is she truly good? He's starting to question. However, he's still taking action. Still willing to help her get her life. To John, he figured that all of this could be worked out, that he would see the true nature once her life came back and she got her life back. Would she leave him? Would she understand his lack of wanting to be a father? Could they work around it? He was willing to take the risk. Yo-Yo is circling the bay in peace, knowing in her heart of hearts that this would be the last time she would ever have to feel the sea, that this was her time to be free of the family that killed her and to be free from this curse. She is going to go have a life too. However, she had one problem. These lovers, John and Nikki, and their mission to stop her from getting her quota so that she could get her justice. So not only did she have to fulfill a quota, and she ticked off in her mind again and again, over and over, how she was going to do that. How would she break up the lovers? Because that would just be so amusing and icing on the cake to her perfect holiday night. Surely they could all work together and get what they want. She just had to bargain with Nikki. And they would all celebrate their success. The twin witches would be free of Salem, she would be free of the sea, and she would get her life back. There would be no need to stop me. I will find a way. I will find the loophole, she thought as she inched closer to the bay as noon struck closer on the clock. And in doing so, the spirits of these 2 witches, as the town clock narrowed even closer to high noon, they were frothing at the bit. They had decisions to make. Did they divide and conquer, or did they work as a team? This was one contention they could not seem to settle, even with minutes to go. Would they accomplish more? Together, would they accomplish less? Each of them wanted to take their own time. They enjoyed killing. They enjoyed torturing. And they each had their own styles of doing it. They were a bit sick of being stuck together. It was becoming a burden, being in Salem, stuck to the land. They hated it, and they were starting to hate each other. But they had sacrifices to make. They had to take as many souls as they needed to get free, not only of Salem, but of each other. Because this isn't a happy union anymore. We're not best friends anymore, we're enemies. We want our happiness apart in our solitude. We do our best to get space. All right, noon hits. John and Nikki fractioned 4 hours of themselves before the dark to be as a couple. Once dark hit, these 2 would be on the mission to collect the trick-or-treaters that they needed. God watches. In this time, Nikki and John could have used set up traps to help prevent any children being affected by the witches or any men being affected by the siren, Yo-Yo. But instead of doing any of that, they took time for each other, for love and lust and 3D things. God said, I'm going to bring in some truth. A truth bomb to shake this couple up and cause a bit of a rift because they're getting distracted. If you really want a life together, can you stand on your own 2 feet? Or are you codependent of each other? So as John and Nikki are about their 4 hours together, everything that can go wrong does. It rains and the trail they need to go on closes. Car trouble. Delays on the road. The GPS taking them to the wrong location. Punishment for not using their time wisely. For all year they have begged for this one night to prove that they could do this. They did no groundwork. Yo-Yo comes up out of the water. And just like Nikki, there's certain things that she likes to do before she gets her kill on. She likes to take a hot shower with fresh water, not salt. Get the sea out of her hair. She likes to do her makeup and dress well and get a delicious meal. She switches up where she goes, but she likes to go to resorts where there's a lot of events and single men, concerts, bars. Money is no object of hers. She can create it out of the palm of her hand. So, she's primping and grooming and fixated on herself, which would have been a perfect time for Nikki to swoop in. Use her gifts, ban her from being able to seduce anybody. As a previous angel, she should remember the prayers that would taint her from being able to do anything. It would have been simple. As she sat in her bath, she would have been bound, not being able to siren or seduce any man. But instead, John and Nikki were having their own affair. The very thing that they were supposed to be stopping Yo-Yo from doing. The witches get their time and they appear. They take their shot. They decide to part. They couldn't take another minute together. But if they need to, they would help each other out. Because at the end of the day, they have a quota to fill. And each of them were charging forward with gumption. They had a lot of options. Each one thought their plan was better. So they decided to divide and conquer, and that's what they set out to do. These two didn't like to waste time. They didn't need time to primp. They didn't have any pre-rituals. They go straight to the kidnapping. So, it's getting dark now. John and Nikki's time is ending. They're getting their gear on. They're getting ready for battle. As they're doing that, Yo-Yo is leaving, heading to the first bar to trap her first victim. However, she meets a vampire instead. And it knocks her off her game. You see, sirens can manipulate and seduce, but vampires can straight up erase your memories and tell you what to do. So he sirened her back. And instead of her setting out on a mission, she was now rooted in her spot, being drained of her blood. With Spirit one-upping Nikki at her own game. Was this how Yo-Yo was going to be taken out? Was this truly going to be the last Halloween? She never died and went back to sea early. She finds a way to get away from the vampire. With the little energy she does have left, she sirens over a female. Of course, it would be the exact female that this vampire was looking for. And he got distracted, let go, started biting the other one, took her weak ass up out of there. Great, now she lost 2 hours of her mission. Meanwhile, the witches have more quota than they've ever had. They actually doubled their time this year. However, it's not as joyous without the other one. They're not enjoying it as much. Page of Spears. They don't want to work together, but they don't want... They're bored. They're bored with the killing. The kids are too easy. It's almost like cakewalk. In their mind, the dumbness of the children is sucking the fun out of it. However, they still have a rising quota, and Nikki is just arriving on the scene. She did not do anything for Yo-Yo. Some vampire got in the mix and slowed her up. She still has 0 prospects on the board. However, these two are racking them up, and Nikki doesn't even know where they are. She forgot to do the spell that would help her track. These twins are powerful. They know what Nikki's trying to do. She did no prep work. There's going to be an offer made. Nikki's like, I'm tired. I can't be chasing you around all the time. I want what I want. You want what you want. You want what you want. Why can't we work together? Yo-Yo didn't even have to find a loophole. The loophole was Nikki's lack of confidence in herself and her wasting time. Queen of Cups. This is not something she's warm and friendly about. She feels like her back's up against the wall. And it is, because Spirit put it there. The very first test of her character, she goes to side with the 2 villains to make a deal, to allow innocents to die. And for it, Nikki gets sent back early to the house. She straight up loses her privileges on Halloween altogether. John's standing out on the street, confused. Did she cross over? Is she coming back as a person? He's wandering around looking for her, house to house, in between the trick-or-treaters, calling her name. Yo-Yo, however, isn't having luck with much men. See, the vampire had drained her of her color. She didn't have enough energy to be as siren-y as she liked. She kind of looked like a dried-up addict, and men were repelled by her. So she had to make a choice. I'm never going to make my quota by trying to seduce men. So I just need to embrace my evil mermaid and go full-on killer. That's her golden idea. She's not going to seduce them into a room and kill them one at a time. She's going to go on full crusade. Meanwhile, the twins are still collecting those numbers. Not even touched. The Sun, King of Spears, God sends Michael, the Archangel, to slap these 2 in place because she's now out of the way. John's out wandering. Guess who Yo-Yo runs into? One half of the dream team. John, what are you doing? Where's Nikki? I don't know, she disappeared. What do you mean she disappeared? Spirit came down. The light surrounded her, and then she was gone. So Yo-Yo thinks that Nikki got what she wanted. Yo-Yo's pissed. She didn't get what she wanted, and she lost time. And it was all his fault. So what does Yo-Yo do? Sorry about you, John. Kills John. First victim, finally on the board. Whereas Nikki's in the house pacing, waiting for John to figure out that maybe she's back home and come back. But he doesn't come back. An hour ticks by, 2 hours ticks by, 3 hours ticks by. Meanwhile, killing spree. I don't know which one's more vicious. With her going full on, she got more numbers than she ever had. And in doing so, managed to call up the Dark Angel. And he actually heard her plea. And he said, if you get me 300 more, by the time your dawn time is up, I will grant you life on Earth. You will never have to return as a mermaid. You can keep your gifts, and you will work for me. You will do my bidding. She says, I can live with that. Anything's better than the sea. Anything's better with my family. Signs in her blood. Gets to work. She has 300 souls and 2 hours to do it. That's a lot. Meanwhile, these two little witches reach such a fuss that they also get attention from their ancestors, and not the good ones. Just like good ancestors and bad ancestors, the bad ancestors rally together. They make an agreement. We'll give you both life on Earth again with all of our power if you promise to continue to send us souls throughout all of the year so that our line can grow in power. So basically, you have to be serial killers for the rest of your life. They say, great, I can live with that. So everybody's getting what they want. Nikki's out, waiting for John. John's dead. So he's definitely out. John doesn't have any family. He's an orphan, which is why he's ambitious. So no one's going to notice John being gone because he's a recluse, because he's been in love with a ghost for years. Guess who knew that? Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo on a mission. Oh, no. Spirit is not having it. Not at all. Archangel Uriel comes down to deal with Yo-Yo. And just like Nikki being punished, guess where she sends Yo-Yo? Back to the sea, only not as a mermaid. She is a dolphin. Can't speak, can't understand other mermaids can't understand her. So everybody in the sea thinks she got her wish, but her reality is she has to live with a human brain and a dolphin body, only being able to do dolphin things. Bye, Yo-Yo. Is God leaving it there? Oh, no. We got two of these dark, evil witches. In comes a priest. Sick of these tyrant souls. All these kids going missing, making their city look evil, dropping tourism. The mayor, people depend on him, runs the biggest church in the place. I'm going to cap these two. He begins the biggest exorcism ever undertaken in the history of America by surrounding the place with as many visionaries, psychic mediums, priests, nuns, all praying at once all around Salem on Halloween for 4 hours straight. And he manages to pull in enough resources to get God's attention to send real angels to back him up. Justice for all. All the kids that they took that night are released back into their bodies and get to go home. The nuns and priests clear and cleanse the land, and these two are forever casted out of Salem. But they are forever stuck as souls who cannot take life, who cannot manipulate the living, who cannot be seen or heard by any psychics. They can never communicate. And they are forever apart. They will have to walk eternity alone because they were so sick of each other. Goodbye, witches. So it looks like Spirit won this round. What happens? A new start to Salem. Everybody can feel a lightness. the rest of Halloween goes smoothly. The crime is so low that year. It's virtually unreported, and because of it, tourists come pouring in the next year, and when nothing happens, they come pouring in the year after. The land is cleansed. Salem lives on to prosper. What happens to Yo-Yo? Nine of Cups. She actually finds contentment in just being a dolphin and slowly lets go of her human life. The only way to make peace with what she had been given is to let the animal fully take over. So in a sense, Yo-Yo died. The animal instincts, she just started becoming the dolphin so much until she was the dolphin and the human part of her ended. Let's talk about Nikki. 6 of Coins. She waited, and she waited for John to come. Days went by, weeks went by. Nobody reported him missing until, he was a big honcho at the business. You don't come in enough days when you run the business, people start to notice. Then his body was found. And she's able to click on news and manipulate electronics just like any other spirit. So she's been watching the news. She finds out that John was killed. She knows Yo-Yo did it. She has no idea that Yo-Yo got sent back to the sea as a dolphin. She has no idea that the witches are doomed. She's thinking that they got their wishes. So she creates this vendetta of, I'm going to kill Yo-Yo. I'm going to get my day, and I'm going to go for it. However, there was a little twist of fate. You see, because John was somebody who was murdered and was innocent in the situation, when he passed away, God was moved by his genuine concern for Nikki, not being able to say goodbye, her being alone for all eternity. So John eventually did come back to the house, only not as a man, but as a ghost. And unfortunately, he got shadowed into her curse. So the two of them are stuck in that house and that land forever. But at least they have each other. The end. I hope you liked it. See you next time. Bye, guys.